Hello there, fellow cultists. This is DM Nell, and I am back with another Shadow Talk. And this is going to be a continuation of my walkthrough, overview, whatever you want to call it. I go through the Tales of the Demon Lord, this thing right here, and just kind of go through each chapter and give my personal insights on it, because I have run it. I have run this adventure. This adventure path, and so I thought that people that were interested in doing so might want to hear about it. So that is the point of the last several of my videos, and I am continuing tonight with chapter 6. I believe chapter 6, the Moon Spire. But before we get into that, I did want to talk a little bit about chapter 6. I did want to talk a little bit about the latest update from Robert Schwalb on the Shadow of the Weird Wizard. So if we go over to the Kickstarter, those of us who have pledged will find his latest update. And the latest update that he has on here is not a great one. Basically, he discovered that somebody had been sharing the crude PDF files, online. And as a result of that, he's not going to be sharing any more crude files. So that sucks. But those of us that have received the crude files still have those, but we're not going to receive any more updates. And the only thing we're going to get is the finished product. So that really sucks. And he talks about it here. I'm not going to read through it, but it's really disappointing, and it really sucks that people just got to be that way. But can't control people. All you can do is shut shit down when people misbehave, and that's what he's doing. So anyway, that's the latest news on Shadow of the Weird Wizard. Still going by what his previous comments, or his previous updates were, that that things were progressing, and that the GM guide was going to be finishing up editing probably by sometime in December. So I have no idea when the finished product is going to be produced. If I had to guess, I would say it's sometime before the due date, which is August of 2024. But knowing Schwab, I would guess that this will be done sometime in the spring. Actually, I don't know Schwab, but knowing his past efforts, I would say he's going to finish early with the main thing, which is the rule sets, and then he'll continue working on the all the other items that were included in the Kickstarter. But focusing on the core rule books and getting those out and getting people playing the game, I think is going to be crucial for Schwab, and I think that's probably his priority, to get those out as soon as possible. So I'm hoping spring of 2024. What I don't want to have happen is it come out at the same time as D&D, 1 D&D 6th edition, 5.5, whatever the current term is for the next iteration of D&D. But that's supposed to be coming out in 2024, and I'd really hate for this Shadow of the Weird Wizard to be overshadowed by that. I mean, it will be overshadowed when it comes out. So Schwab should probably time it so that these come out either before. I would say before, because once 1 D&D comes out, it's probably going to dominate headlines for the remainder of the year. So I would say, the sooner he could get this out, the better. That's just my opinion. Okay, so anyway, that's it as far as updates. Not a whole lot of new information provided, but it's good that progress is being made, and that hopefully we'll get that final product. So, all right, so that is that. And so next, I would just want to go ahead and jump into the main topic, which of course is the Tales of the Demon Lord. Now, why did my screen disappear? Why did my screen disappear? I don't know. That was there. This should be there. Okay, give me just a second while I add my PDF reader. That's not it. There we go. Okay, so adding PDF reader. All right, perfect. Okay, so I just gotta put it in the back. Come on. There we go. All right, sorry about that. So, all right, Moon Spire. Okay. So, what have we done up to this point? So, up to this point, we've talked about the setting, which is the Northern Reach and the area around the City of Crossings. We've talked about the NPCs in the City of Crossings. We've talked about the starter adventure, Harvester of Shadows, the first novice tier adventure, Born to Die, second novice tier adventure, The Curious Gate of the Errant Swine, and then the first expert tier adventure, The Temple of Shadows. So the Moon Spire makes the second epic tier, or not epic, expert tier adventure. And this is where I think a lot of people have a problem with this adventure path, because whereas the previous chapter, the Temple of Shadows, was directly tied into the storyline for this campaign, the overarching storyline. This is a direct tie into that. The next several are not. So starting with the Moon Spire, then Minds of Madness, and The Name of Love, Shadows in the Mist, and Off the Rails. So all of those, the next several adventures, are not directly related to that storyline. So a lot of people feel like this is kind of a disjointed adventure path. And that's because they're used to adventure paths being somewhat linear, which is, that's what an adventure path would suggest. A path is a linear thing generally. But this actually isn't called an adventure path by Robert Schwab. That's just terminology I'm using, because it's a connected set of adventures, and just, from start to finish. But the connection with these adventures is very loose. So that's why a lot of people have a problem with this as an adventure path. You could actually take each one of these adventures and run it as a standalone in your own campaign, and nothing would be lost from any of the adventures, with possible exceptions of the final adventure. But the adventures can work together if you do a little bit of work to make it happen. So that's kind of why I'm doing this video series, is to try to help folks that are running this build those connections in, so that they can, have these adventures intertwined to a more or less degree that they would need in order to make it a cohesive campaign, if that makes sense. So basically, how do you make all of these adventures run together? And that's not a good term, not run together. How do you make all of these adventures flow smoothly from start to finish? Well, you can, if that's your desire, or you can use these adventures as ways for your adventuring party to level up and gain experience, so that they can tackle the end game in the final adventure. Either way is okay. There's no right or wrong way of doing this campaign. I did some very loose connecting when I ran this, because I did want these adventures to kind of flow, but I also wanted them to be adventures that weren't necessarily constantly focusing on the overarching story. But I did throw in little tidbits here and there to remind the players that these stories are connected, or these adventures are connected. So Moon Spire is one of those adventures that's just totally a standalone, and it's still in the surrounding area, in the area surrounding crossings. So that's really the only thing that's connecting this to any of the other adventures, is that it can be, and you can actually place this anywhere, but it says it's in the Northern Reach, but it doesn't say where in the Northern Reach. You could put this anywhere. You could place this, you know, in another part of the continent if you wanted to, if you didn't want to run this in this particular campaign. But being as it's in this campaign, and it's in the vicinity of crossings, assuming that it's in the vicinity of crossings, then you can have the characters leave crossings on a mission for some reason, going to the city of Carbuncle, or the town of Carbuncle, which is where this adventure is located. Now, why would they go there? For what purpose? This adventure does not give us adventure hooks. It does not tell us why the adventurers are here. It's assuming that they're here for some reason that the game master cooks up. So that's the work that you have to do in order to connect this with the rest of the campaign. So I think there's a few ways, like with the other adventures, there's a few ways you can do this. The easiest is to have one of the NPCs in crossings send the PCs here. Now, you know, why would any of them do that? Well, because there's weird things happening in Carbuncle. The whole point of this adventure is that there is a spire that appears every full moon. So the full moon cycle has 3 days. The not quite so full moon, the full moon, and the after not quite full moon. And so during those 3 days, this Moon Spire appears and is interacting with the mortal world. So this is just an odd feature of this town. The people in the town are used to it. It's been that way for a while. But you know, the people outside of this town aren't really as familiar with it. So this could be something that is brought to the characters' attentions by one of the NPCs. And by one of the NPCs, you could use Elder Fob as the quest giver in this particular adventure, because Elder Fob is also a cultist of the Brotherhood of Shadows, the Brotherhood of Shadows. And so Elder Fob might be trying to, he may be trying to stop Captain Dramus, who is the other cultist that's trying to do bad things in crossings. He may be trying to stop him, or he may be trying to anticipate his next move by, you know, just kind of figuring out what Captain Dramus is doing. So he knows that Captain Dramus has, you know, already collected the Eye of the Demon Lord and the artifact that was used in the last adventure, which I forget off the top of my head, but let me see, it was the Enigma Stone, the Enigma Stone. So Elder Fob knows that, you know, for whatever reason, Captain Dramus is trying to collect these relics. And so he might be trying to prevent Captain Dramus from collecting yet another relic. And so he learns that in the town of Carbuncle, in the Moon Spire, there is a relic that is known as, wait for it, it is known as the Oracular. The Oracular. And so he figures that Captain Dramus may be trying to get that. So he may hire the PCs to go into Carbuncle, access the Moon Spire, and acquire the Oracular before Captain Dramus can do that. So that would be one adventure hook that you could include. Another one might be, oops, Another one might be that Inquisitor Randolphus believes that there's some sort of evil significance to the moon Moon Spire, and so he may be hiring people to go there to try to determine what why this spire is appearing, and what about the spire is mutating the people in Carbuncle, because that's one of the things about Carbuncle is that the folks in the city have these weird little mutations, like a third eye or a sixth finger, or an extra foot, whatever, legs that are backwards, I don't know, weird. They have some weird mutations, and so Inquisitor Randolphus sees that as a sign of evil, of course. So he might hire the PCs to go in there and investigate. So that might be another one. Let's see who else. We have Ezekiah. So Ezekiah is an apprentice witch, and she is a member of the city council of Crossings, and she is your typical witch. She's got pale skin, red hair, bright green eyes. She wears a black dress and a pointed cap, pointed hat, and so she is, she's in tune with nature. So there might be something about this particular Moon Spire, whenever it appears, that is drawing her attention, and she may hire the PCs to go in there and determine the nature of the Moon Spire, and figure out why it appears on the every month in the full moon. Let's see, who else? So we've got Father Paulus, who is the Church of the New God priest in Crossings. He, like Randolphus, he may be asking the player characters to go investigate and see if there's some kind of evil that is mutating folks there. So he's another one that could take that angle. Ambrose Quick, the underworld leader, he may want something out of the Moon Spire, so he may hire the PCs to go in there and collect something totally unrelated to the Oracular. Who else? I think that's about it. Of course, you could use any of them. Master Dreen, Gundren the Ironmonger. You could use any of the NPCs to come up with some kind of hook to take the PCs into Carbuncle. But those are the ones that off the top of my head that would probably make more sense for this adventure. So getting back to the Moon Spire, the adventure is set in the town of Carbuncle, which this first couple of paragraphs talk about the town and how the people there are odd. Everyone living here displays some oddity of form: a misplaced eye, an extra digit, a hump on the back, spare limb. The locals accept their physical abnormalities, believing themselves to be touched by the gods. As such, they are genuinely puzzled when others comment on their appearance. So that's just something that can be played up for laughs or for weirdness, or whatever you feel is appropriate for your group. But Carbuncle does have a problem besides the Moon Spire, which really isn't a problem for them. But their real problem is that they have a skin changer living among them, and the skin changer's name is Crucial Verd. Crucial Verd was actually bitten by a shape or a skin changer some years ago, 10 years ago, and he becomes a beast once a month. But he's recently decided, for whatever reason, that the Moon Spire can somehow cure him of his malady. So he will be going to the Moon Spire at the same time that the player characters are going, and so he could cause problems for them. He'll also be killing people every night of the full moon. So on the first night he kills a person, second night and the third night he kills another person, and that's just what he does. That's what werewolves do. So But anyway, the PCs could and probably should run into him one of those nights. Okay, so it gives a little bit of background on the tower. The tower itself was created by the fairy thousands of years ago in order to hold this relic, the oracular, and keep it from being in the real world. They didn't want to destroy it because the oracular contains the essence of several demons, and if they broke it, the demons would be freed. So instead of breaking and destroying the oracular, they wanted to contain it. So they put it in the spire, and they put the spire in a pocket dimension. But over the millennia, the magic that contains the oracular has started to unravel, and so that's why once a month now the Moon Spire appears back in the real world. So that's what's going on with the tower itself. So once the PCs get here and interact with some folks and decide, learn that the where the Moon Spire appears, then they will want to head out to the Moon Spire, and that's when, of course, they can encounter Crucial Verd. And I would actually make this first encounter be kind of a hit and run. So they find him chewing up a person. They may engage and fight with him, but I would have him, run off into the woods, into the darkness, and allow him to escape so that he can, come back and harass them some more later on in the adventure, potentially. So the PCs are told that they should be told. So somebody in town should tell them that the Moon Spire appears, but then at dawn it disappears, and they can't escape it once it's disappeared from the world until it reappears in the world. So they will probably want to adventure some during that first night, but then leave before it disappears, if they don't finish the entire adventure that first night, which is possible because there's a lot going on inside the Moon Spire. So that's when they return on the second night, that's when they could have Verd attack them again. And maybe they kill him that time. Maybe he escapes again. Maybe he escapes into the tower. Who knows? But so that's how you could set that whole scene up, or you can ignore Crucial Verd altogether if it doesn't sound like that'd be a fun thing for you to add this adventure. You can certainly leave that part out. If you just want them to be exploring the Moon Spire, you can certainly do that. They could do it the whole thing on the first night if you want to, or you can spread it out over the 3 nights. However you feel is appropriate. But the thing about the Moon Spire is that there is some work that needs to be done in order to navigate the spire, because the spire has several chambers, but those chambers are not physically located adjacent to each other. So it's not like the ground floor room and then the second floor room and then the third floor room is right above each other. Because this is a magical spire, the rooms are in separate dimensions, and so they have to go from room to room using the appropriate portal, and then they have to figure out what portal leads to what room, which can cause them to get lost very easily, and not really understand the whole portal system until they've experimented some. So that could eat up a lot of time, which is why they have essentially 3 nights to get through all this. All right, so the adventure is 4 pages long, and so the pages 2, 3, and 4 summarize the various chambers in the spire. And then there's a map here. Now the map is not very detailed. It basically just gives you an idea of how the portals work. So there's only one portal in the first chamber, which leads to the second chamber, but then there's 2 portals. One leads to the third chamber, then one leads to the fourth chamber, and then from the third chamber there is a portal that leads from the third chamber to the fifth chamber and to the um, what is that, the 12th chamber? No, 10th chamber? Anyway, this chamber right here, 6th chamber. Yeah, 6th. The 6th chamber. And that's a dead end. So then they would have to back up, go to 5, which leads to 8 and 9, and also to 7 and 10. So, and then 7 leads to 12 and 11. 10 is a dead end. And then 11 leads to the final chamber in 13. So, you know, you have to read each room. You have to learn where the portals are and where the portals go in order to keep track of this. And, you know, this is going to be a lot of work for the player characters. Now, if this is too much work for you, you could very easily just arrange these chambers linearly. So they just go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6, you know, so on. I don't think that'll destroy anything as far as the game goes, but it loses some of the weirdness of this particular adventure if you were to go that route. A lot of the fun that can be had here is, you know, watching the player characters try to figure out which portal goes to which room from which chamber. So the oracular, of course, is located in the final chamber, in chamber 13. And ultimately, they want to get there so that they can find the oracular and, you know, either return it to the person that hired them, or they can destroy it. Now, of course, if they destroy it, they release 5 small demons, which means they have to fight 5 small demons. At this point, they should be probably 3rd level, maybe 4th level. Yeah, probably around 4th level. So they should be able to handle 5 small demons, but it should also be a pretty decent fight. So speaking of demons, or speaking of monsters, what exactly does this adventure have to offer? Well, it's got the shape, or the skin changer as the first opponent. And then we have, let's see, 6 fungal mites and a fungal hulk in one of the chambers. And then we have an obelisk, tomb scarab swarms. What else do we have here? I probably should have done this before I started recording. Oh well, that's why these videos are so cheap. 2 amphisbaenas. Don't know how to pronounce that. What else? 3 shadows. Okay, so 3 shadows are here, and that's because anybody that dies within the Moon Spire is doomed to become a shadow. So somebody, at least 3 people have come in here and died and have become shadows. So that would be, that would explain them. What else? We've got a Promethean, which really kind of surprises me because Prometheans are pretty tough monsters. Okay, I had a little system hiccup there. I'm not sure why, but oh well. Anyway, Promethean surprises me because they're pretty tough. So I'm not really sure why they have this in essentially a 4th level adventure, but he's there. So they will have to deal with it at some point. 5 phantoms come out of the oracular when they touch it. Now phantoms I don't believe are that powerful. I believe they're, if I remember, difficulty 1 creatures or less, but I could be wrong. Could be thinking, I may be thinking of apparitions. I'm not sure about phantoms off the top of my head. So that may actually be a tough fight. But then, of course, when they destroy the oracular, then the 5 demons pop out. Okay, so those are the things that they could potentially run into while they are in the spire. So, you know, they have to go through all these chambers, get to the final chamber, you know, grab the oracular and decide what to do with it at that point. Now, the oracular itself, once it's touched, it will offer the person touching it one corruption for exchange. In exchange, it will give them the ability to psychically, you know, see something. It'll give them one casting of the clairvoyance divination spell. And so you could kind of use that as a way to hook this into the overarching storyline by, let's say it was Elder Fob that hired them to get the oracular. They can figure out through this that Elder Fob is actually part of the Brotherhood of Shadows himself. But he's not working with Captain Dramus, but working against him. So that's one way they can kind of learn about the more about the overarching storyline. If that's too much information to give this early, because we're not even halfway through the campaign yet, so we don't want to give too many secrets out yet. But you can kind of throw them a breadcrumb along those lines, and just, you know, something to the effect that if they return the oracular to Elder Fob, then greater evil shall be done, or something along those lines, you know. But at any rate, you can kind of use that as a way to tie this whole adventure into the overarching story. Okay, so that's it. It's a you know, 4-page adventure. There's not a whole lot to it. The bulk of the time is going to be the PCs going from chamber to chamber and trying to figure their way around the spire. So, you know, it's basically a dungeon crawl, and nothing wrong with that. So, you know, I had fun with this. I thought it was enjoyable. I can't remember if my player characters, if my players enjoyed it or not. I think they did, but it's been a while since I ran this. Back in 2016, 2017, something like that. But at any rate, it's anyway, it can be a fun adventure. So it's just how you decide to set it up. You know, whether you want that skin changer to be part of it, how easy you want them going through the Moon Spire, and figuring out the portal situation, and then, you know, when they finally find that oracular, what they end up doing with it. So that's pretty much it. So I think that I'll wrap it up here. Next time we will go into the Mines of Madness, another adventure that I found to be very fun. Again, not very well connected, but you know, we'll talk about that, and we'll figure out ways to get those connections built. So at any rate, thanks for watching once again. Appreciate your viewership. If you have not already subscribed, please do so. And I will catch you next time. Hail the Demon Lord. I'm out. If I can figure out how to turn this damn thing off. There it is.